Hey everybody, welcome to Film Flashback. Nick and I are really excited about the latest Star Wars movie, Solo, where Donald Glover will be making his appearance as Lando Calrissian. And so what we decided to do was go back and watch an early work of Mr. Glover, 2009's
Mystery Team.
It's got a lot of familiar faces in it. It's a comedy spoof practically, and it feels lower budget than it probably was.
Yeah, it looked like it reminds me of like we were trying to make a movie. It's like, okay, well, we could get Clay's parents' house, we can get the high school where Nick's mom works, and like it looks like they called in a bunch of favors they could do. Because I mean, you mentioned names. What's funny? So this was the feature film debut of Ellie Kemper as well, who went on to great success.
Yep.
Aubrey Plaza makes an appearance in this, and she's one of the leads in it as well, and does a great job. Obviously, Donald Glover. I think this is his first major feature film. I'd never seen this movie before. I don't think you had either.
No, never heard of it.
It's very apparent the talent level of Donald Glover. He's doing characters. He's very likable. You get it. It really came off to me like an SNL movie.
Right. If you've seen some of the 80s movies about a gang of kids who are getting together and solving problems that really the adults should be, a la Stranger Things and that kind of feel to it, this movie is about those kinds of movies. So the three main characters are these three guys who clearly used to have they're sort of solving crimes around the neighborhood.
Right.
It's almost like a Hardy Boys feel to it, except now they're seniors in high school and they haven't grown up a day. And that's where the joke comes from. Donald Glover is a grown man, but he's acting like he's still 11.
In the beginning, you see it and you go, okay, yeah, this is funny. I was expecting early on for them to drop that, but it plays the entire movie. I will say, for me, I was going like, oh, okay, like this is a little... I mean, they hammered that joke the whole time.
You're right. It does... They play the one joke kind of the whole movie, and I would say after 45 minutes or so, I'm kind of like, yeah, I get it. And you could have made it a real coming-of-age story. Here, they tried to force the coming-of-age story about people that were totally unrelatable because they were so weird.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it works. We talked about this movie is a hard R. I mean, there's nudity, there's language, really violence, everything, which I think you could only make this a hard R movie because anything else, it just wouldn't work.
You fucking lost that ring inside of that slut's just today, so everybody can hear it. I don't care, alright? I didn't pay for that shit. Leroy gave it to me. I'm talking about that guy that used to your mom? Hey, my mom, alright? My mom's a slut.
But one of the things we've talked about before is it's really funny for kids to act like adults. I think we can agree when kids speak like adults, it's funny, it works. When Goonies, Stand By Me,
Little Rascals.
Little Rascal, like it works, it sounds funny. But when you get adults acting as kids, it's not quite as funny, I don't think. Producer Jay pointed out that this movie was 2009 is when it came out. Not everyone in this movie, but for the most part, this cast all went on to do really good things and are still working a lot now.
Like
Obviously,
right
Donald
away,
Glover.
if you watch, Workaholics,
Yeah.
or you watch Community, you're going to see a lot of the people from this movie. The talent was all there.
Yeah.
Bobby Moynihan is in this
Bobby
movie.
Moynihan's great. He's great in it. He's over the top, but he's the perfect guy for that character.
He plays
a gas station attendant.
Matt Walsh.
Walsh is fantastic.
He was maybe the funniest person in this movie.
Just keep going. I promise I won't watch. I'll pay you to watch.
So there were plenty of laughs in the movie. I don't mean to sound like I'm down on Mystery Team too hard.
It felt like when we talk about it a lot of times, when you think about writing something, you have a good idea and you look at it like, oh yeah, this is funny, but could this be a movie or a show? And I did feel like this was kind of like a funny idea for a sketch, stretched out a little too far. I mean,
Ultimately the story becomes, in the beginning, you've got these these like men children who have never grown up, and the mysteries they always solved were like little things that didn't make a difference to anybody. And then they hear about a murder and they go, let's step up our game and let's solve this murder, which is a great way to launch, out of Act 1. Here we finally have our murder. I guess I just didn't really, it never got into whether or not they were going to solve it. I wasn't really all that worried about it.
No, there was really no, there a couple references were made to, hey, you guys are weird, you drink chocolate milk, but we didn't really have like the voice of the audience. I mean, Aubrey Plaza was still not quite the voice of the audience.
So if you were to watch a movie like a Ben Stiller movie, a Ben Stiller character where he's playing really over the top, like Zoolander, you have right next to him throughout the whole movie another character who's totally sane, and then the comedy plays off of that. We talk about it all the time, like a crazy person in a sane world or a sane person in a crazy world. We spend so much time in Mystery Team with the crazies and not enough time with the sane world, with someone looking at them going, what are you guys doing? What are you guys talking about?
I think we would have had a better payoff later in the movie had that been the case.
Yeah. So as we said, there's a lot to see about this movie that you're going to like, especially if you've been watching comedy the last few years and you want to go back and see what some of these people were doing a decade ago. So if you don't want to know how the third act of Mystery Team goes, now's the time to switch it off and go find the movie, because we're going to give it all away. After they get into the murder mystery of this movie, that's when it really starts to dive into the hard R area.
Right.
And they go to this massive strip club. And there's clearly real strippers around.
If this is the hard R part. Oh, there it is.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Good day,
I recognize this place too.
My pussy is so wet for you.
Did you say the song that's playing?
The song playing in the strip club is a Childish Gambino song.
Yeah.
Off, I think, his first LP, which is really cool. I mean, that's just shows you how much of an impact in this movie Donald Glover has.
Because his music is blowing up right now, but it's kind of interesting. No, he was making music
right.
more than 10 years ago. They get essentially kidnapped by a drug dealer at a certain point who's holding two of them hostage. Are we scared? Do we like that drug dealer character? Was it a little bit two-dimensional?
I think there is a lot of toilet humor in it. Literally, the guy reaches his hand into a pile of shit to get a ring out.
Yeah, a little train spotting kind of
Yeah, so we
moment.
Didn't get that as much, but there are other moments that got us. There's some physical humor in it.
Yeah, if you're going to make it a hard R, I would have been like, all right, well, when the third act comes along, I want to see someone get shot in the head.
Right.
And then, because if the joke is, we're just like those child teams who were solving crimes back in the 80s, when you were never really worried about any of them actually getting hurt because they were kids' movies, and this is a joke on that, have one of them get their head cut off. Mm-hmm. And just if we're going to go ridiculous, let's go fully ridiculous.
And that's why at the very end, so there's an opening gag with this old guy they keep interrogating who's on his deathbed, literally hooked up to IV and life support, and they keep questioning about some other murder. That's how we meet this team. I totally thought that guy would come back at the end. That would have been me. That would have been a brilliant joke to me.
We were both like,
here
it
didn't
is.
Pay off, really.
Here it is. It's perfectly set up. Yeah, so in the end, they solve the murder, and they kind of learn a lesson, and they grow up a little bit.
But I think that goes into what we were saying. I was not a totally fleshed out idea. It's kind of one of those movies to enjoy. You really are enjoying the ride, the journey more so than the end.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like everything I've ever done is a brilliant piece of comedy that stands the test of time. But they obviously spent a couple of dollars on it. I know they shot on a red, and it's like, well, okay, you feel like if you're going to do that, it's still worth watching. There's a lot of funny moments, as we said. But, I'm not going to be rewatching it anytime soon.
No, that's it. That's safe to say. But we will go see Solo this week when it comes out to see Donald Glover now as Lando. I know I'm excited about that. I think that's all we got for this episode. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you check it out and let us know what you think about Mystery Team if you go and watch it. And we'll see you at Solo, hopefully.
See you next time.